Do you know what time it is?
It's candy time.
In continuing with our Hard to Find Candies series, we've got some even weirder brands and types you wouldn't ever think existed. And if your palate tends to border on the odder side of things, especially when sweets are concerned, then let's see just how weird things can actually get with 10 candies you would be so lucky to find, Part 2.
It was a little weird buying candy out of a grown man's trunk.
World's largest gummy heart.
I need a heart!
Yes, these gummy hearts look real, are roughly size accurate, and weigh in well over a pound. They are, in fact, almost as large as real-life human hearts. And the marketing for them does not shy away from this more medical side of the candy. So, needless to say, these are fairly realistic, and not for the faint of heart, pun intended.
She has to eat the whole heart.
These gummy hearts are big, so while it would make the most sense to cut small pieces off and eat it slowly over time, we all know that's not what anyone is buying this for. You buy the world's largest, most realistic-looking gummy heart because you want to be seen walking around the office or wherever, chomping into a bright red heart-shaped gummy, freaking people out along the way. Or maybe that's just us. Either way, as a snack or as an elaborate prank, this is one of the coolest candies you can find.
Eat your heart out, Julia child.
Sake-flavored Kit Kats.
The Japanese guys had sake in the hot tub.
In Japan, sake is an alcoholic rice beverage, usually served warm, which goes back generations and generations. Most alcoholic beverages do, as the fermentation process that these beverages go through is a practice that goes back to time out of mind. It is even considered sacred by some, and the drinking and preparing of this beverage is even a ritual passed down through generations. Very much like wine, it has survived the long years of modernization and a quickly moving society and all the changes that it brought. But we wonder what the grandmasters who first started brewing the stuff would think about Kit Kat Japan deciding to put the traditional alcoholic beverage of Japan into their already epic candy bars.
Not only is it illegal, it's sacrilegious.
We can just picture a very distinguished and traditional Japanese man sitting down to his meal, only to be served a candy bar that contains the very beverage he's looking forward to. We'd say it's pretty safe to assume that a sense of wonderment and disappointment may surface in this individual. Then again, he may be pleased by the concept. This depends, of course, on how badly he needs a drink.
I'm having a sake. What are you having?
Candy-filled bug tape.
Here's a bunch of MI kids that look like they could eat bugs for lunch.
We're trying to figure out just how bad a craving you need to have to be able to ingest some of this stuff. Maybe it's the novelty of it all, and we can more than understand that. But outside of Halloween, we don't really see a market for this stuff. Perhaps that's why candy-filled bug tape is so hard to find. Like a lot of the stuff we've shown you thus far, this won't really be at your local gas station or corner store, but if you dig deep enough online, you'll find it, and you'll be chomping down on this treat soon enough. Maybe even by the foot if you order enough.
Would you really want to?
It looks pretty gross, we must admit, but there are probably many that would give it a try just for the experience. We would like to ask one simple question, however. How are you supposed to know when there's an actual bug on your candy with this item? We mean, with a soup or even a regular tape of candy, a fly would be pretty easy to spot, but here, a fly could make itself at home and pretty much blend in. Food for thought, eh?
She ate a bug. A bug!
Sour Flush Candy Plunger with sour dip.
Sour. I like it.
Now, here's a head slapper if there ever was one. If you listen closely, you might be able to hear the sound of hands slapping foreheads collectively around the world, as you and many others hear this wee bit of trivial news. We realize that with a lot of these items, a certain novelty is at the epicenter of the interest involved. Many consumers like to eat so-called weird items just for the heck of it, and as foodies ourselves, we can more than understand that. There have been many such fads and novelties in the food industry. For example, who's ever heard of dining in the dark or eating chocolate-covered ants? These things seem odd to us, but they are real practices enjoyed immensely around the world, and yes, even in our own backyards. Candies like this one here are pretty funny overall and aren't even close to the concept of a chocolate-covered ant, but the idea of sticking a lollipop made to signify a toilet plunger into a toilet of all things is enough to conjure up thoughts that most people don't want to think about when enjoying a sweet treat meant to satisfy and not disgust.
It's just really unappetizing to look at.
And when you think about it, the comparison here is quite hilarious. But at the same time, the thing that this so-called treat is made to represent is based on one of the most embarrassing and panicky human moments and experiences. In fact, these instances are pretty terror-filled moments. Will the toilet overflow? Will they get in trouble for clogging the toilet yet again? The questions are enough to drive a person nuts. So really, they decided to base a sweet treat on this experience? Something does not compute here.
Real quick, where do you keep the plungers?
Gusano Tamarind flavored liquid candy.
That doesn't sound good.
How badly do you need candy to be willing to squirt liquid candy into your mouth? This is an interesting concept overall, and a comical one at that. But when you're a kid, there are some pretty odd things you're willing to try, especially in the sweet treats category. The only thing is, this product here isn't only popular among children. Quite a few grown-ups enjoy this stuff, and if you read the reviews, this product isn't as odd as it seems at first. This candy isn't easy to find in stores, but it originates in Mexico and can probably be found in and around that region from shop to shop. But for the rest of us that may be interested in finding some of this, we need to rely on our old friend the internet to get a batch. It isn't expensive to get, as it's available for $4.99 for a 10-piece pack. That means you get 10 bottles of the stuff for about $5. Not bad, huh?
Damn good deal.
The reviews are astonishingly positive. One sweet treat aficionado said that she loves putting this stuff on her fresh fruit. Now there's a thought. Spicy sweetness atop some sliced papaya. Though at the end of the day, couldn't we just add some sugar to hot sauce? Would that have the same effect? Probably not. This product is quite popular online, and we don't mean just as something to order. There are many that actually film themselves trying this liquid candy, and unlike the reviews, the live reactions aren't always favorable.
If you don't believe us, try one for yourself.
Vidal gummy teeth.
How you gonna eat with no teeth? You gonna gum the sandwich down?
Now this one's pretty funny. One wouldn't normally think that dentures were at all appetizing, but when a little candy is thrown into the mix, we're beginning to realize that most people would be down for anything. And yes, even a pair of gummy dentures like these here. Of course, they are only candy, but many people think about what they're eating, and what a particular food item looks like is something that they think of first. This is likely to determine whether a person is willing to try a product or decline wholeheartedly.
No! God, please, no! No!
But what we need to remember here is that these are candies, and when you say or hear the word candy, a sense of fun comes along with that term, and we should look at all these items with a sense of playfulness, no matter how odd they turn out to be. Besides, you can play like Dracula with these, and hey, that's always a wee bit of fun. Or maybe then again, you can convince your SO to stick one of these into their mouth, and you can actually have that scene from Twilight you always wanted to live out.
Beautiful. This is the skin of a killer bell.
Hotlix scorpion suckers.
Comes to scorpions, the bigger the better.
Well, we mentioned chocolate-covered ants and how they're pretty much a delicacy in some parts of the world, and these scorpion suckers are no exception. These were first invented by an American, and the trend caught on pretty quickly. It was Larry Peterman who first invented them. He was a Santa Fe businessman and owner of Hotlix candy. He got involved in the candy business in the 80s, at first offering seemingly standard-tasting lollipops like cinnamon, only extremely hot cinnamon. So he wasn't adverse to pushing the boundaries of candy in general.
I'm not a quack, I'm a mad scientist.
But where he was then and where he would end up going would be as different as night and day. Or rather, as different as normal candy and abnormal candy. Scottie. Everything changed when he invented his tequila lollipop. That's pretty much what started it all, and he hasn't looked back since. Soon came crickets, and then, of course, scorpions. The scorpions and other bugs are pre-baked, in case you were wondering. The company now has plans to release gummy worms, which will contain, wait for it, actual worms. The scorpion lollipops are also available in other parts of the world, but these days, those who are courageous enough to give these things a try actually order them online. They've sparked quite the craze, but once again, it's pretty much a novelty candy, and we wonder if this novelty is likely to wear off. But man alive, this one gives us the shivers just thinking about it.
Gross.
Gross.
Licorice Scottie dogs.
Great. Black licorice.
To turn to the realms of normalcy for a brief moment, we'd like to shine a light on these little candies you aren't likely to find at the local Walmart. Licorice is a pretty stable domain in the candy world, and although not all licorice is in fact licorice, we and most of the world enjoy a piece every now and again. The black licorice is the only sort that contains any real trace of licorice.
They lied to me all these years. They lied to you too.
And the red sort just kind of went along for the ride. And what a long ride it's been. But despite a few discrepancies, this candy is available in all shapes and sizes. From whipsticks to jujube to little doggies? Yeah, you bet. Of course, as we mentioned, they aren't readily available, but if little pieces of licorice shaped like doggies are your idea of a treat, then these puppies are specifically for you. They're available in Vermont, but are readily available to order online. So, what are you waiting for? Give these dogs a home.
You want to get a dog?
Yeah, a cuddly fluffy one.
Super strong, manly mints.
What you want is just effortless, manly coolness.
Hypothetical situation. You're struggling away with a bench press, trying to heave it off your chest, but it's getting hard. The last thing you need is someone spotting you, screaming into your face to give them 2 more reps. And furthermore, you don't need this person to be blowing their bad breath on you when you're already struggling to breathe as it is. You can't wait to be done, so you finish off and bounce 2 more off your chest just to get out of the way of that bad breath wafting towards your nose.
They smell so bad.
You stand up and go to your gym bag and decide to unleash these candies you found online, mints. You've got 3 more sets to get through on this exercise, and you've got to do something about your spotter's breath. So you walk back towards them, and as they finish their set, you shake the box and ask them if they want one. Now, they may not get offended, especially if you handle this right, and they might just get distracted by the muscular bodybuilder on the package. They look it over, and you're relieved to see a smile spread across their face. Hey, is that Charles Atlas? You're not exactly sure, but you smile and say, sure is, want one? They accept, and you can thankfully get back to adding some mass to your pectoral muscle. As you get back to it, you thank the heavens for the creation of this odd little invention. They sure saved the day on this one extremely specific occasion.
You like muscles?
Pickle-flavored candy canes.
Not a good combination.
This sounds like a craving that someone who's pregnant might get. After all, those with child get some pretty odd cravings. Chips with ice cream, nachos in their soup, you name it. We wonder if these would do the trick in such circumstances. Maybe paired up with a bit of vanilla ice cream. We want to say yuck, but some of these combinations aren't all that bad really. But do pickles say Christmas the way that mint does? Mint goes with almost everything, even some epic roasted lamb. But pickles don't always do the trick in terms of satisfying an all-intensive craving for something sweet.
Please just ask me what I'm craving.
Battered, fried, and enjoyed next to a tasty burger, sure, but in the form of a candy cane? We're not entirely sure. Can you picture a family sitting around the Christmas tree, some chestnuts roasting on the fire in the hearth, a little Bing Crosby on the turntable, and their respective mouths full of pickle-flavored candy canes? We can't either. But they do exist if you're interested in adding them to the menu next December.
Oh, I think I'll pass.
Stick around, we've got more great videos on our menu. Just tap that screen. It's that easy. And if you're new to our channel, show us some love. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to join our notification squad.